This lesson is looking at the equation for photosynthesis. So we are going to be on this side of the screen only. First of all, if you remember, photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast. And there's a nice little picture here up in your notes. Mine's colored green. And if you might remember, which type of cells have chloroplasts? Is it plant cells or is it animal cells? If you thought animal cells, you would be wrong. Photosynthesis occurs in plants, and this is your equation for photosynthesis. The left side of the equation, which is the side that comes before the arrow here, is called the reactant side, because all three of these things react together to create the things on the right side of the equation, which is the right side of the arrow, and those are called products. And products you're familiar with as in the answer to a math question. So you have the reactants, which react together to create the products, which are like the answers of this equation. First, you need to know what this means, the molecular equation, plus you need to know the words. So 6CO2 is 6 molecules of carbon dioxide. So you need to write carbon dioxide in your blank. Carbon dioxide is in your breath every time you exhale. Okay, so that is a waste gas for us as animals. This 6H2O is water, so you add carbon dioxide plus water, and that one's already in your notes. Plants soak the water up right through their roots. In the presence of sunlight, then those three things react together, and you get glucose as a product, and that's C6H12O6. Basically, that means there's 6 atoms of carbon, 12 atoms of oxygen, and 6 atoms of oxygen, and 12 atoms of hydrogen. So it's basically telling you how many are there, and that's glucose. Glucose is a sugar. You add that to oxygen, and there's 6 molecules of oxygen, and mine is red, so you're going to need to write that in your notes. Now, on the EOC, this little note, most of the time the word light is left off the equation. So when you memorize this for your next test, you need to memorize without the word light in there, because most of the time the EOC won't put it in there. Okay, so we're going to fill out this box, the first data table, and we're only going to fill out the right side. The reactants are starting chemicals. So starting chemicals is what the word reactants mean. And yes, you will need to know that for your next test. Well, we know from this equation, it's labeled right here, the reactants are carbon dioxide, water, and light. Okay, and that light actually comes from the sun. So it's carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. That goes in that top left box. So those are the reactants. The products are the resulting chemicals, or the answer, like to a math problem. That's going to be to the right of this arrow up here, and that is going to be glucose and oxygen. So that gets written right here. Now, the gas that gets inhaled, there are 2 gases in this equation. There is carbon dioxide, what you are exhaling right now as an animal, and then there's oxygen. Now, inhaled, that's what the plant takes in. Whatever the plant takes in for photosynthesis, if you look back up to this equation, that's the reactants. These go into the plant to create what's on the right side of the arrow, the products. So the gas that is inhaled is on the reactant side, and that's going to be carbon dioxide. So that's the inhaled gas because it is a reactant. It is what the plant takes in. So the plant takes in carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. And those react together. And then the gas exhaled in the last part of this table is going to be the products. So this is what leaves. And oxygen is the name of the gas that leaves the chloroplast. Okay, so this first data table, the only thing it is doing is it's telling you what's in this equation. So there's nothing new here. This data table is a different way to look at this equation. Now, we're going to skip this middle question because we haven't done the left side yet. And we're going to go down to this side here. So we're at the second data table, and we're going to do the side that says photosynthesis. So your statement's in the middle. The organelle where photosynthesis occurs. And this organelle is found only in plants and animals. And what organelle does photosynthesis occur in? You remember? Okay, it is going to be the chloroplast. Okay, so that's the organelle that it takes place in. Okay? So we're going to have to write the word chloroplast in there. And it's not turning. Okay, it's not red. For some reason, it's not turning red here. So this is the word you're going to write in your blank. The chloroplast is the organelle where photosynthesis occurs. And if you look all the way back up to the name, this green diagram here, that is your chloroplast. Coming back down to the data table, the source of the glucose. So where does the glucose come from? Okay, so where do plants get glucose? Well, if we look back up at our photosynthesis equation, plants use carbon dioxide, water, and light to make glucose. So the answer here is plants actually make glucose. So plants make glucose. So the word make goes in that blank. I've also mentioned that animals can't perform photosynthesis. If we were, we would be green, and we are not. So we cannot do photosynthesis. So plants make their own glucose through the process of photosynthesis. Now this last box, organelle where water is stored. This goes back to our last test. Just like the organelle, the chloroplast, that went back to our last test. Do you guys remember what organelle stores water? Write it in. If you don't remember, it is the vacuole. Okay, so the vacuole, plants have a vacuole just like we do, but do you remember which vacuole is larger? Is it a plant vacuole or an animal vacuole? If you thought it was a plant vacuole, yay, you're right. And that's the extent of the notes that you're going to take in this video. So at this time, you can turn off the video and you will have some quiet free time until everybody finishes. Okay, where did my QuickTime go?